There's a restaurant in your town, you know the one, 2 Michelin stars. 10 years ago, the chef was a genius. People drove 4 hours, sat in their car in the parking lot, rehearsing how they described the meal later, and it's still open, lights on, name on the door, but it hasn't served food since 2020. You can walk in, the host will still greet you. There's a gift shop now, t-shirts, a cookbook, a remastered version of an old tasting menu they already served you once, and every 18 months the chef comes out, waves, says the new menu is going to be the best thing he's ever made, and walks back into the kitchen. You have never seen the kitchen produce a plate. You're starting to wonder if there's a stove back there at all. That restaurant is Naughty Dog, and I need to talk about what is happening over there because the entire industry has decided to just not. So here's where we are. Sony ran a state of play, real one. Marvel's Wolverine showed up with actual gameplay. God of War Laufey got announced. Until Dawn got a sequel. Sony Santa Monica, Insomniac, Firespry, all present, all accounted for, all showing things you can theoretically buy. Naughty Dog, not there. Not showed a teaser, not dropped a logo, not there at all. The studio that Sony spent 15 years building into its crown jewel, the one that printed Game of the Year trophies like a counterfeiting operation, sat the whole thing out. And look, studios skip showcases. It happens. If that were the whole story, I wouldn't be making this. The whole story is the timeline. The Last of Us Part 2 came out in June 2020. That is the last original game Naughty Dog has released, 6 years ago. We're almost a full console generation deep into the PlayStation 5, and the studio that is supposed to be Sony's headliner has not put a single new game on the thing. Read that with me again. The flagship studio has not shipped an original title on the current console at all. What have they done? They remastered The Last of Us, then they remastered it again, basically for PC. They built a Last of Us multiplayer game in secret for 7 years, and then canceled it, just deleted 7 years of work. And they've got a new game, Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet, which they announced at the end of 2024 with a gorgeous cinematic trailer and exactly 0 gameplay. That was a year and a half ago. We have seen nothing since. No gameplay, no release window, nothing. And the people who actually know things, they're not optimistic. Jason Schreier from Bloomberg, the guy who is right about this stuff more than anyone, flatly said Intergalactic is not coming out in 2026. Jeff Grubb said it wouldn't even show up at the Game Awards. The most credible read right now is that this game lands somewhere in 2027, and that's still a maybe, possibly right next to the PlayStation 6, which means there's a real chance Naughty Dog's big PS5 game skips the PS5 almost entirely. So let me do the math out loud. Announced 2024, in development since 2020, earliest realistic release 2027. That is a 7-year gap between original games from the most prestigious studio on the platform. Cool. Now I want to pull back because if I just dunk on Naughty Dog, I've actually missed the actual story. The actual story is bigger than them because they're not alone over there. Bend Studio, the Days Gone people, haven't shipped a game since 2019. Media Molecule's last release was Dreams in 2020, and they've been gutted since. Polyphony put out Gran Turismo 7 in 2022, and have announced nothing new. Haven Studios, which Sony bought in 2022, has a game called Fair Game, $ or Fair Games, that has been coming for years and still hasn't shipped a thing. That's 4 first-party studios, and I'm leaving names out. Do you kind of see the shape of it yet? This is what happens when a publisher decides that the only acceptable output is the prestige game. The $200 million 8-year Every Blade of Grass individually rendered awards bait spectacle. When that becomes the only thing you're allowed to make, the math breaks because those games take half a decade each, and during those 5 years, the studio produces nothing. No revenue, no momentum, nothing but a payroll and a press release. Naughty Dog used to put out a game every 2 years. Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, The Last of Us, Uncharted 4, boom, 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 boom. A murderer's row, one after another. The same studio now takes longer to make one game than it used to take to make 3. So what changed? The games got bigger, the expectations got bigger, the fidelity got insane. And somewhere in there, the people who run these studios decided that scope was the product, that bigger automatically meant better. And the actual cost of that decision, the thing nobody puts on the slide in the investor meeting, is that your best people spend half a decade in a hole, and your audience spends half a decade staring at a name on a door, wondering if there's a stove back there. That's not a Naughty Dog problem, that's a whole industry problem wearing a Naughty Dog jersey. Let me step off the gas because there's a real thing under all the jokes. I think about the people who actually work there, not Neil Druckmann, the other 600, the animators and engineers and environment artists who came to Naughty Dog because it was the place, the studio you put on your resume and people's eyebrows go up. You spend 3 years of your one life modeling a Single character's hands so the light catches them right. You pour everything you have into it, and then one day an email goes out and the project's canceled, and those 3 years go in a drawer that nobody opens again. That happened to the multiplayer team. 7 years gone. And there's a version of this where the most talented developers on the planet are spending the best years of their careers making things that never come out. For a company that would rather sell you the same 2013 game a fourth time than risk shipping something new. That's not a punchline. That's a genuinely sad way to spend the talent that made this studio matter in the first place. The thing that made Naughty Dog wasn't the graphics. It was that they kept showing up. They built trust by delivering. You knew that every couple years they'd hand you something that mattered. That muscle atrophies. Trust is the thing you spend down, and right now they're 6 years into spending it. Okay, so right back to it. Here's the part that genuinely sends me. Tati Gabriel, who plays the lead in Intergalactic, did an interview where she talked about the game's themes, faith, religion, where you can believe in something you can't see, which is the single most accidentally honest thing anyone at that studio said in years, because that is exactly the relationship Naughty Dog now has with its own audience. We are out here having faith in a game we have seen for 90 seconds one time in a trailer with no gameplay. That may not come out for another 2 years, the Heretic Prophet. My brother in Christ, we are the heretics. We're the ones in the pews going, I'm sure it's coming, I'm sure it's good. I just have to believe. And maybe it is good. Maybe it's the best thing they've ever made, and in 2027, I eat every word of this, and I'll do it happily. But I'd love to see the studio remember it's allowed to just make a game, a smaller one, a weird one, a 6-hour one that doesn't cost the GDP of a small nation, something that ships. Naughty Dog used to be a studio that made things. Right now it's a studio that announces things, and there's a difference, and the difference is 6 years long. If this pulled you off the couch on a slow afternoon, do the like button a favor. It helps more than you'd think. And tell me down in the comments, what studio do you still have faith in that hasn't earned it in years? The one you keep defending? Be honest. Name them. We'll have church together. I'll see you in the next one. Cyler, out.